Revival House Network. Howdy, everybody. Revival House. Zach, Aaron here. We are doing another Cinema Enema. It's been a bit. Zach, we skipped last month. Why did we skip last month for Cinema Enema?
We were too busy, baby. We were doing the Patreon
choice
extravaganza. Fucking, we completely it just slipped our minds, baby.
Yeah, it wasn't a conscious thing. I don't know why we didn't do Patreon choice for a Cinema Enema, but regardless, because of that, Zach had the great idea to do two in a row.
The fuck are you talking about?
What?
That's exactly you just used that to link to the fact that we are doing two, and one of them is a fucking request.
Oh, the Nightbreed?
Yes.
Was that requested?
Very low T. Very low T.
I can't keep track of this shit, man. So, but Zach had the idea because we had a lapse. We're gonna do two in a row, starting with this one, and next week the plan is to do our Nightbreed Cinema Enema. Hopefully we can get a guest on board for that. But Zach, I'm going to let you do the honors and telling everybody what. Well, wait. This is Cinema Enema. We don't do that, right? You guys read the title. We don't ever introduce it. Because with this show, if you guys aren't aware, we sort of, in the front half, we just sort of bullshit. We talk about news, stuff that's on our mind, stuff we've been watching, shit like that. And then we save the meat of the topic for the last half, which is typically a film or a franchise or something, some point of discussion. But I guess we should be talking about news. I mean, you'd think there'd be a lot of news because we haven't done one of these in a hot minute. But is there?
You would think so, baby, but I have no clue. I can't even think of any news to talk about.
I mean, I think with the theater slowly coming back to life, that's going to change. I think this is all a result of more or less the 2020 and all that stuff kind of lingering over. But
did you invest in that AMC and that Dogecoin, though?
Not Dogecoin, AMC I did. A lot, actually. So we'll see if that plays out.
Fucking low T, Aaron.
We'll see. We'll see how low T I am or not. But I look at just kind of...
You're low T regardless. Just the act of fucking doing this is very low T.
Oh, what? Investing? Actually, it's more like those meme stocks are gambling 100%, but I'm all about the investing, man.
They all are, you fucking delusional fuck. Let's move on. Let's not pretend like there's any news to talk about. Let's get to what we've been watching, baby.
No, well, yeah, there's a couple little things, man. Like I thought your Hocus Pocus 2 is dropping. And the chick is returning. I think they're all returning, aren't they? Thora Birch.
That is Monkey not going to live up to any fucking... Fucking, this is done cynically. Fucking, it's just like Space Jam 2. Fucking, I hope you don't have high hopes for the sequel to fucking Hocus Pocus. It's going to be commercial AF.
Well, it's not going to live up to it just because you're not a kid anymore. I saw Hocus Pocus front to back, I think, for the first time in the last couple of years, and I didn't think it was that great.
You didn't like it just because you're low IQ. You can't chalk that up to fucking not having the kid goggles on, baby. Fucking, it's all you, baby.
No, it's just the way it is, though. I mean, I don't think Hocus Pocus is that good. The only other thing that kind of caught my eye is I don't know why they're trying to really make the Predator franchise still happen, but Predator 5, they have cast a Native American actress in the lead role.
Amazing.
Her name is Amber Mid-Thunder. Was Lightfoot not available? You know, Indian in the Cupboard?
Sounds like a fucking Stacy if I've ever heard one. That is a fucking Stacy name. Say that again.
Amber, what is it? Light Thunder? Amber Mid-Thunder.
Oh.
I wasn't giving her enough credit. Mid-Thunder.
I'm coming perpetually since hearing that. Fuck yeah.
Well, we'll see if they
Stacy.
can. We'll see if they can course correct. But you know, who gives a shit at this point? Predator had one fantastic.
What do you mean course correct? They did. Fucking part 2 came out, was fucking garbage. They course corrected it with the next one that was not complete garbage, but still forgettable, but fucking it was a little better. So they did course correct right there. And then you got the newest one, fucking what's his name? Fred Decker helped write it. Very Chad. That was very much better than part 2 also. I say.
But
But that's not saying much.
They just need to have the original Predator. He's dead. They need to have the original Predator's brother come to Earth and target Dutch in a retirement home.
No, fuck that. Keep the fucking story you got going. Like finding out that the Aspies, fucking autistic people, are the next step in human evolution was all great. Fucking, and I have nothing to gain from saying that I'm not an Aspie or anything like that. But fucking, exactly. But like fucking, where are we going with this again?
Nowhere. I'm just grasping for straws at news. I guess we can get into what we've been watching. And I got to be honest too, I was dealing with a big move in the last month and traveling. I have watched not much of shit. I'm going to look, though. I've watched a couple of things, but Zach, go ahead and take it. Start while I kind of look.
Hell yeah. Last time they did the Are You Afraid of the Dark reboot series, it was like a little mini-series event. I talked about it and I said, I didn't hate it. It was like, fucking the Goosebumps movie, but like, basically it's what you wanted the Goosebumps movie to be if you were cynical enough to know, like, okay, they're making this to get money, fucking for the people like me who grew up with the show. I have, certain expectations. Like, that's what you wanted from it. It did it a little better than the Goosebumps movie. I didn't hate the Goosebumps movie, but like, it's just, fucking a rent, baby. But fucking our boy to go, he loves that movie. Actually, he says he's been watching it every Halloween. I need to watch it again. But yeah, the new Are You Afraid of the Dark series. I watched the new season. Last one was better. And I think most of it is just because last one, it was a miniseries. It was only 3 episodes. This one definitely felt like they stretched it out to 10 episodes because now it's a fucking standard, like, season. It's not just a miniseries anymore. It had high demand, baby, so they brought it back for another season. And yeah, it could have been 3 episodes, I thought. I remember that, watching it.
Interesting. Well, you can kind of keep plowing through your list. I found a list. I guess since we haven't done an episode in a little while, I have a small list of things to talk about. But if you want to go ahead and knock your stuff out, you can.
Oh, yeah. I watched basically what I had to say after watching this was Ready to Rumble 2 when? Hashtag fucking you cannot kill David Arquette. What a fucking Chad.
I want to see that.
Amazing film.
I want to see it.
Fucking very much like watching the Rocky movies, like fucking ever since like the sequels, like, oh, he comes back, he's not fucking, he's out of shape and all this, but he really wants to win. He doesn't have like, very selfish reasons. He wants to prove it to himself. Like, fucking, he doesn't want, money, fame, all that shit. He wants to prove it to himself because he felt like he let down the wrestling fucking fans whenever, basically it was all based around a publicity stunt. When the movie Ready to Rumble came out, basically they had him on WCW and he was going to win the heavyweight championship. Fucking terrible idea. And he knew it was terrible. He didn't want to do it because he was a wrestling fan. He knew, like, this isn't going to be good and all that shit. But like, they really nope, you got to do it. This is our gimmick. We're running with it. And like, yeah, just fucking, he wanted to, come back, and he's pretty fucking badass, baby. Like, he gets in with these Mexican luchadors and they fucking teach him, train him and shit. Very Chad. And like, it goes through like, basically like years worth of material. So it was like, oh, I'm going to try this gimmick. I'm the wizard. Fucking, I'm going to do magic tricks. And they're going to be really lame, but that's going to be my gimmick. And then fucking, I'll summon something to hit the fucking wrestler with and it'll be funny. Gimmick. But fucking, that was like dead in the water. Fucking, like fucking all the way to him like fucking doing that stunt we heard about in the news where he was having like a fucking hardcore like glass fucking match, like there was broken glass or something like that, and he got all fucked up. And yeah, it goes through all that, and I gave it an 8 out of 10, baby. I enjoyed it.
Where can we stream that? Is it streaming or did you order it?
I watched it illegally, babe.
Motherfucker,
like the true fucking Chad I am. Big fucking thick jawline. Big thick ass fucking jaw. You can't crack that shit. You're gonna need a fucking big ass hammer to fucking crack through that shit.
That's how much you love David Arquette. You didn't pay for his blood, sweat, and tears of making that documentary and what he went through.
Oh, only because it's fucking not readily available yet. I will get it on Blu-ray, baby. Very Chad. Very Chad. Fucking, hopefully it comes in a fucking nice David Arquette box set and it's shaped like his big Chad ass chin jawline. And fucking like it fucking rolls out. You get all that fucking Scream 3, Scream 2, all this shit. Fucking you get the whole discography of that band he was in. What was that? Remember that they had that song on the Scream 3 soundtrack?
No, David Arquette had a band?
Exactly. Fucking they do some fucking running down the David Arquette fucking rabbit hole, baby. He's a fucking man of many talents. Always just fucking coming around and wowing us with his fucking chat ass shit.
What was the song? Sing it. Hum a few bars. What was the song?
It's so good I can't even remember in this state of mind. Because you gotta lift yourself up.
All right.
You gotta be a transcendent. So you see, if I was fucking a little bit chatter right now, chatting Tatum, I would have fucking remembered right away. But like right now, I'm not lifted. I'm not lifted there, baby. I also watched Saint Maud, the new A24.
Oh yeah. How was that?
Thriller / horror movie. I liked it a lot, baby. It dives into like the mind and like, you know, what it's like going through, like when you're the type of person that just like, it doesn't even have to be like religion, which it is in this movie, but like you could just latch on to anything and just take it to the fucking the fullest extreme to where it's like interfering with the way you live your life and shit like that. And yeah, fucking I enjoyed it, baby. I gave it an 8 out of 10. But it's one of those I can't really talk about because, you know, there's twists and turns and like don't want to give too much away. But like, yeah, it's a donk film.
Is it a very A24 kind of slow burnish?
It's a slow burn
Type of artsy piece?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay. Well, what else?
But I can see it branching out more like Hereditary did and getting kind of like those casual like thriller, you know, and kind of think piece type of movies.
Well, how did you rate that? How did you rate that?
I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Okay, solid. I need something to watch because now I'm hungry for movies. I haven't watched hardly shit in the last 4 weeks, and the only thing go ahead, continue. Sorry.
I watched Q, Into the Storm, the miniseries on HBO about the QAnon shit. I really fucking enjoyed it. It was fucking just a batshit crazy type beat, that one. And fucking, yeah, the guy basically going through, checking out who Q is, who's this guy that's, you know, fucking giving them all this shit like on the internet, and he does definitively find it out. It's a very funny and memorable scene. Like, yeah, that's a 6-episode miniseries, but yeah, I really enjoyed that, baby.
Okay, that's cool. Well, what else you watched? You watched that one pretty recently.
Mm-hmm.
So is your list not too extensive?
Not really, no. Oh, I watched First Kid Disney, our boy Sinbad, for the first time. See, and I can tell you because I didn't grow up watching that movie, and like I don't have as much of if I only had the same amount of like a track, like fucking the Warm Fuzzies for that as house guest, it would have been a fucking 8 at least. But I gave it a 5 out of 10. It existed.
Well, that's cool. Sorry, I was getting distracted, man.
It is cool. It's very cool.
It's cool.
You might as well.
It's cool. It's okay.
Put me on a Harley, give me a fucking leather jacket, some fucking shades, and I'm fucking jiving over here.
All right, so let me get into my list. If you're done,
I'm not done.
You're not done. I thought you didn't have much. Okay, go ahead.
I did John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise, that miniseries. Enjoyed it a lot. Fucking Gacy, he was a Chad, basically. He knew how to fucking pull in the poon. He knew how to pull in the fucking cock because he likes them both, baby, and he knew how to do it. It gives you a lot of good how-to guide, how to pick up chicks, how to pick up boys, all that shit. I'm just joking, of course. It was very, morbid watch, but I enjoyed it, baby. And he's kind of a hometown hero for me, fucking John Wayne Gacy. He's from Chicago, Illinois. I've been there, and I wanted to go see his house. And see, I'm not really a fanboy. I'm trying to sound like I'm a future school shooter or something. That's part of the bit I'm doing. Go ahead there.
Go ahead, as in it's my turn?
Oh, yeah. No, okay. I just been interject. It's still my turn here.
Okay.
I watched a great sequel made for TV. Look What Happened to Rosemary's Baby. Oh, exquisite. I gave it a 2 out of 10. It was fucking garbage. And you know what's funny is as I was watching it, I was like, man, this seems really dreamy and almost like European, like something you see when you're a kid and you just have weird faint memories of it. But then when you watch it, you realize, oh no, it just seems weird in my mind because it never made sense. Even as an adult, it doesn't make sense. But it's like fucking, it gets in your mind, and it's like just those fuzzy memories from like childhood, and it works for it very very Chad. But like fucking that did not happen. It did not play through because like 30 minutes in, I'm fucking like, you know what? This is like a dream I could have had as a kid. But fucking like you're 40 minutes in, it's like fucking I am done with look what happened to Rosemary's Baby. Look who's talking. It's more like they should have started the movie out with the sperms going through fucking like talking, trying to get to Rosemary's fucking egg. That would have been very Chad. Very Chad.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
Well,
Very
let me know when it's my turn.
Oh yeah. I remember like when I was going through like basically what was getting ready to leave HBO Max. I watched Grumpy Old Men and Grumpier Old Men. And is it just me? I preferred Grumpier Old Men a little more.
Really? No, yeah, you're weird. See, I think the first one's a bit better.
Fucking the weird ass fish. Fucking they were trying to get the smile at the guy or whatever the fuck. Very Chad. Fucking Walter Matthau's a Chad. I would have fucked Walter.
Yeah, he looks like he's got some droopy balls.
Exactly.
It's probably because his face droops so much. You just imagine every part of him droops. I like
so cute.
The first one is a really good comedy to watch with your grandparents. The second one's good too, but it's definitely like a sequel where it's like not as good.
Yeah.
That's the one where they're both competing for what's her fucking name? Fuck. The hot new bitch that comes to town. Not the one in the first movie, but the redhead, Sophia Loren, right?
Oh yeah.
Sophia Loren, she was hot for a very long time. I mean, now she's really old and she's just barely skating by, but for a long time she was extremely fucking fuckable, let me tell you. But
amazing.
You know. Anyway, I'd even say she was a gilf in that movie. Now she's like a good gilf, like a great. Nah, she's too old now.
Oh shit, she's gonna be a corpse I'd like to fuck any day now. Fucking it doesn't matter. Age is just a number, Aaron.
Is she even still alive? I'm gonna look. She might be Sophia Loren.
Here, I'll bring up this movie.
She's alive. She's 86. She old. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'll bring up, usually I would just skip this one because of my overall rating, but like I had such high expectations for this. This is one they always talk about, The Seventh Seal. I watched that for the first time. The Ingmar Bergman. And basically that movie inspired one of my favorite movies, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. The whole death, playing the games with death. That originated in The Seventh Seal, where he's playing the chess game with death throughout. And it's whole, philosophical, looking into like, stations in life, the peasants, and like fucking like, there's people suspected to be witches and they're going to be burned and fucking like all this shit. And like, all this big head shit. And I was watching it thinking like, I am underwhelmed. I gave it a 5 out of 10. And I'm hoping that it's just because I had my expectations so high. I've been hearing about it so often. But like, yeah, I'm going to give that another watch. A movie I've always had on my to watch list and just never had the time. I don't think I ever, it was like maybe 3 years ago I heard that like actually that movie did actually like, stand the test of time a bit. I still enjoy it. So I made a mental note like, I got to check out Brokeback Mountain. Fucking Jake Gyllenhaal and the beautiful stud. Fucking, what's the other guy's name?
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger, I can't wait to see fucking our boys, just the watery mouth, and fucking our boy Gyllenhaal just gives him something to stuff it with. But, I'm so excited. But yeah, like I watched it, I was thinking like, you know what? I could see this being like the movie like people gave an Oscar to because it broke new grounds and stuff. It did like, something we never seen before, and it's completely possible that watching it now, it'll just be like, any old romantic comedy fare, but like the two loved interests are like two guys. But like, no, it wasn't like that. It was a pretty cool story. Fucking I got boners throughout. Fucking our boy Jake Gyllenhaal and basically him and Heath Ledger, they bond, and like it's not like fucking one of those things. It's just like they genuinely just like love each other, like, and then like fucking they get married and stuff, and they don't go out and fucking fuck other men, but it's just like every once in 4 years they meet up again at that spot where they fucking they formed a bond between each other. Brokeback Mountain, we're gonna meet up Brokeback Mountain 4 years from now, and then like it starts, gradually, it becomes like, we're doing it every couple months, and like them hiding it from their wives and stuff like that. Hey, why don't you move closer? We could do this all the time. And yeah, it's a dank film. I'd say check it out if you got to. It's streaming on Netflix right now. Yeah, I enjoyed it, baby.
So
I gave it an 8 out of 10.
So I think I've actually seen the very end. I don't know how it happened, like, surfing or whatever. You just catch the very end, because one of them dies, right? Like, I think I've just seen the end.
Fucking, he just spoiled it. He spoiled fucking Jake Gyllenhaal ends up dying. He gets beat to death in the movie because it takes place back when, like, finding out someone was gay wasn't fucking, like, like that shit. You got to be scared. They're going to find out or something.
So how much passage of time happens in the movie? So you said when they start out, they meet and they have a bond. It's like, oh, let's meet once every 4 months, but they're married. So even at that point, when they're still fucking when they meet every 4 years or whatever, right?
Hell yeah.
Or was it just, hey, let's go.
As you do when you walk into a room with Heath Ledger, as you do.
But I'm saying, or is it a thing of, hey, yeah, we're good friends, let's meet every 4 years and go ice fishing, and then eventually they fuck or something. It's like, hey, let's do this ice fishing thing a little more often. What do you say, pal?
Oh yeah.
Or is it just pretty much the sexual thing from the very beginning?
Oh, they have sex from the very beginning. And it's just like, they're both like, I ain't gay or anything, man. And then like, fucking like, it's just like every couple of years they have to meet up again. And it's fucking, it's magical. Aaron.
Gotcha.
Aaron Hubbard.
Gotcha. Well, what else? Is that the end of your list?
Oh, I watched Bottle Rocket. We were doing we were doing the last Cinema Enema with our boy the Goat. He mentioned Bottle Rocket is his favorite Wes Anderson movie, so I made a mental note, and that came on Prime recently. A couple Wes Anderson movies, and I made a list. I put it on there, and I watched it, and like that was one that I was on the fence about through most of the movie. I was like, oh, it's just a kind of love story, romantic comedy, like love story. It's gonna be one of those. And then like, I had my heart set like, it was just like, oh yeah, whatever. So like, but then by the end of the movie, the way it like wraps everything up, and the fact that it wasn't a love story at all, that's just something that happened. And the real story is these guys who really want to be like, bank robbers. Like they're planning their big heist, and they're really bad at it, fucking basically. So like Jake Gyllenhaal, no, not Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm looking at the chat.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal on the fucking mind, man.
It's got Luke Wilson. He actually helped write it with Wes Anderson, and his brother, fucking Owen Wilson. And they're just these weird ass, like, quirky character. Like, he just got like some kind. It's not like like, oh my god, I'm slapping my knee. Wes Anderson movies are so fucking funny.
No, we like, no Wes Anderson movies like that.
Yeah, it's like a quirkiness. Like the comedy is like in this, the weird quirks in the characters, and like just the oddball kind of way it turns out. And like, yeah, by the end of the movie, the ending, like the final, like whenever they finally get to do like their big, robbing or ripping off the big guy, it's just a comedy of errors. And fucking really funny, and it made me want to watch the movie again, knowing what it is going in. And I'm looking forward to that, baby. I gave it a 7 out of 10. It was it was like a 6 through most of it, but like that ending like really got me on board, and it bumped it up one. And now I want to watch it again. Maybe it'll go up, baby. Maybe it'll go down. Who knows?
And that was his debut, right?
Maybe.
I think Bottle Rockets, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's his first movie. Did it have a debut sort of quality about it? Kind of like how I feel like P.T. Anderson and Boogie Nights like feels
it
like
did.
a first movie. Like maybe I don't understand why so many people love Boogie Nights as much. I get it. It's a good movie by a lot of standards, but it clearly feels like, well, maybe I'm just saying that because I've seen his movies that came after it. Maybe that's why it shows its wear a little bit. Like, oh, this definitely feels a little rough.
It did have that kind of like, oh, there's a lack of like the way he's gotten about like making his shots. Like
It's not as
like,
refined. It's just
the shot composite. Like he always seems to like try to center things perfectly and then make sure like one side is just like it goes like there's like kind of like a fucking, you know, really tidied up way that his shots are set up. And like, yeah, it's hard to describe not seeing it, but like I'm looking at a meme of a feisty fucking Chad fucking talking into a tape recorder right now, but fucking very Chad.
I posted that.
Very feisty Chad there. Fucking he's spicy. Very Chad.
Anyway, but yeah, so I'm not the biggest Wes Anderson guy. Part of me's wanted to kind of go back and try and give a few of his movies a chance again. Well, I mean, I do have one Wes Anderson movie on my list, actually. I take that back. But whenever it's my turn, just let me know. I don't want to like interrupt.
Oh yeah, fucking I watched the TV series. This is the last one I got. I watched the TV series on HBO Max, Euphoria.
Oh, is that the one with what the fuck is her name from Spider-Man?
Zendaya.
Yeah, so my lady was watching.
Stacy.
Yeah, she's
very
hot.
Stacy.
My lady was watching that show this past earlier in the year, and so I caught an episode or two or three kind of in passing. I didn't actually sit down and watch, you know, everything.
I thought it was really cool the way the show, like, it's basically like, I don't feel guilty for like liking anything, but it's some people would consider it a guilty pleasure. It was this show that was kind of big when I was like in junior high. It was called Degrassi, The Next Generation.
With Drake in the wheelchair.
And it was like, oh, it's preteens going through like the big, like the coming of age stories involved with that. And it's like, I had like a fucking weird, like, I guess you could consider like a fucking curiosity, weird fucking, whatever that is.
It's no different it's no different than 90210 for, you know, early 90s kids. Right.
Exactly. I fucking, but that's what this is. But like basically like on steroids, like fucking, oh, this is what kids in high school really deal with, and it's like for adults and shit, like, you know,
but
basically kids doing drugs. I've always been a fan of the teenagers gone bad movies, like 13 with Evan Rachel Wood, stuff like that. Kids, very Chad.
It seemed very much one of these shows of the time. I mean, like, there's just so many of those fucking shows. I've watched a handful of episodes of it, and it just it seems like it's the same as every other Netflix series that's coming out that's aimed at teens. They always do the same shit. I mean, I don't know. It just seemed more the same. Like, you always have the closet gay football player type. You always have the strung out chick that needs to go to rehab. You always have the person with mommy daddy issues getting beat at home. And, you know, it's a little bit amplified. I think the drama's amplified. I don't think it's quite like real life, but they've taken what you can experience, but somehow they're at a school where everybody has it going on. You know what I mean? They just really put a magnifying glass on it. Like, okay.
This show, it speaks to that in you, where you want to watch kind of like more trashy type of entertainment. Like, you know, it's not super like hard to follow, shit like that.
And they have the trans friend, right? Isn't that right? There's the girl boy that's a trans.
Oh,
yeah, so it's like, I don't really know if in real life you find too many cliques of friends where everybody in that clique is going through something fucking haywire like that. It's amplified for a drama, but fucking, I don't know.
Very, very Chad, very Stacy. I saw people saying like, "Oh, don't watch it. It's too woke." It's too woke, and I basically knew like that probably means there's a trans character that the rest of the cast just treats like any other person, and fucking instead of being like fucking fucking a tranny gross bro, basically.
I mean, they kind of.
I had to watch it.
They kind of made it. They kind of made it part of the character, though. You know, it wasn't like the new, what was that Sabrina show where it was really just out of nowhere. Oh, I'm one of those guys. Like, I think if you're going to write that shit into a show, let it be part of
IQ. Listen,
if you're going to write anything in a show, make it part of the show, make it part of the story, give somebody an arc. Yes.
No, because somebody being straight isn't even fucking like you never.
I get it.
That's just the default, baby.
I get what
you
you're
gotta
saying.
be five head. You gotta be universal.
But if you got,
you gotta look at it like fucking our boy Goat. It's just like that fucking huge fucking Chad 18 melon, and then fucking he's just looking down at everybody else because he knows everything. We're trying to catch up.
I don't know if you guys watch that Sabrina show. Literally, there's one friend that I think she just transitions out of nowhere. She starts off as a girl, and then it's not even like, okay, then she should be trans from the beginning. Don't just in the middle of the season have her all of a sudden going through changes and then not even really address it other than like a quick, oh, okay. It's really awkward. And stuff like that show in particular, it seemed really forced and really pandering. Like I said, the show that you're talking about, they made it part of that person's character, right? And her being fucked up as a kid and going to the therapy and all that bullshit. And then it probably added to like the complexity of because wasn't like she flirting or texting with the jock that had all the dick pics that was like a closet case? It probably added to like all that weird confusion and that gray area there. So I'm not trying to attack that show in the same way that I am some other shows.
That fucking jock motherfucker, his daddy fucked the trans.
Oh
character.
yeah,
very
I saw that too.
Scene.
Yeah, I saw that too. That's fucking weird.
You know what's funny is this was a show that I was watching like as I was like the first two episodes especially I was watching like that for the first two just kind of like why as I'm cleaning up around the house and like I didn't miss anything but I did miss like fucking that was a trans character and like yeah there were early scenes I just completely missed where like yeah
you're like I'd already jerked off.
But watching the show, like once I found out, that there is a trans character, I felt vindicated because like I knew like, that's probably what they mean by woke. It's probably the fucking, there's a transgender character. And then I was like, I was fucking right. And it took me so long to realize that even though it was right there in the first episode, if I wouldn't have been, I clean the house.
Yeah. Well, I just assume every show that hitting that demo has a trans character now. I mean, it's not really, it doesn't take fucking Nosferatu to see that. Every new Netflix show with that sort of demo in the cast and in mind, and every show like that on HBO, dude, they all have everybody represented. There's gay characters, lesbian characters, there's trans characters. It's just, there's whatever. It's just heavily.
You think they realize gay people and other minorities also buy products and they need to appeal to them too? Because there's always a cynical reason. It's not like, oh yeah, we love everybody, guys. We love people. We love, it's just like fucking they buy products too. Let's fucking,
since when does Zach, since when do you think they should be writing TV around selling products? Writing shit.
That's how they do. Well, we just know that is how it happens.
I know they do, but when that takes too much control and too much dominance, usually, fucks with shit. Look, I'm not against it. I'm just saying, make sure if you're gonna sit there and try and do that stuff, make it mean something. There's a way to do. I know what you're saying. Have it be nonchalant, just like it would be in real life, but sometimes it comes off super heavy-handed, like, oh god, that's a little try hard and a little forced.
They got 80-pound hands. If you want to make a scene, we can make a scene. Now I put my hands on you. You put your hands on me.
I don't know. And I want to backtrack and say where I was saying, hey, look, I don't think any high school in the country really deals with all of this at the same time. And I'm not a kid anymore. And the world has changed greatly since I was in middle school and high school. So for all I know, it is a little bit more amplified than I know. Like maybe in every circle there is like a fucking gender confused person. Maybe there is like more trans people in high school. I don't know. I'm out of touch, right? When I was in high school with Riverman and middle school with Riverman and stuff like that, it was the Slim Shady days, right? Where people were throwing around the F-bomb, right? And just in jest.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't, it was, yeah. So yeah, I admit I'm out of touch too. But whatever.
You got to get your finger on the pulse of that fucking throbbing cock, Aaron.
All right.
I also watched the Bad News Bears because I was on a math
remake. The original. Okay.
I was underwhelmed. I've always heard it's a classic movie. About half the movie, I'm like, what the fuck are these kids saying? Like, I can't, take the fucking gum out. What the fuck is wrong with it? Like, you got marbles in your fucking mouth or something? And then like fucking, it's really weird because like it's basically, it seems like, oh, it's the feel good kind of like, you know, the coach. He's kind of he's rough around the edges, but then the kids really teach him how to love and fucking all this stuff. You thinking like that? So it's gonna be a feel good movie, but then like they kept hitting points where it seemed like it was going against that, where it was like fucking trying to bring in like these 5-head drama kind of things, where fucking like there's a scene where Walter Matthau gets he's like drinking and stuff. He gets really angry while coaching at some girl, one of the girl on the team, and he like fucking he does that thing where he says something terrible, but it's like amplified so much, like he spits beer out on her, and it's really like fucking, it seems like borderline abusive and shit, like fucking. And then, but then like, yeah, you see later on, like, oh yeah, he regrets it, but it was like fucking, it was just like, yeah, it was so weird. And it was like fucking, I couldn't tell like the tone they were going for, because it seemed so much like it was just supposed to be a feel good, like, type of movie, but then like there was shit like that in it where it is like it's making me like, is this just a throwaway movie or is this like deeper and I should fucking watch this again? I gave it a 6 out of 10. The Matthau made it worth watching. I would Matthau his cock.
And I've seen it before. It's been a while. So and there's a remake too. Who's in that? Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, I remember liking it. Okay. I don't think I've watched it since I was like in middle school, back in the days when I'd come home and watch Smart Guy on Disney Channel.
Yeah. And then I was finishing up some stuff I got DVR'd, and the last one, it's not the last one I watched, but it's basically the last one worth mentioning. I rewatched Blazing Saddles.
Oh,
for the first time in a long
Richard
time.
Lewis and John Candy.
I was wondering, like, the fact that like Richard Pryor wrote the movie, like you could tell, like it just seems like a Richard Pryor stand-up special from beginning to the end. And I was wondering, like, why didn't they just cast him as the main character? Was it like before he'd been in any role and they just like, we have to get an actor because he's got to carry the movie, or something like that? Yeah,
I don't know. I just my bad. What? Wait, you said what was the movie?
Blazing Saddles.
My bad. Well, I don't know why I was thinking Wagons East.
I never heard.
Yeah. So you said Blazing Saddles, and I immediately went to Wagons East. So I'm thinking John Candy, Richard Lewis, and then as soon as you said like Richard Pryor, I'm like, wait a second, what the fuck? Well, how did Richard Pryor? He had nothing to do with Wagons East, and then I'm like, oh, he didn't say Wagons East.
Fucking crazy.
I was like, one of them's a good movie, one of them's not a very good movie.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I gave it a 7 out of 10. Fucking, I wish it would be better if they just casted our boy Richard Pryor in the main role. They had to have been like reluctant to give it to a comedian. It must have been before he had starred in a movie. Yeah, because like he was in The Toy and fucking Superman 4 he was in. Fucking, yeah, it was weird to not give him the role. Maybe he didn't want it though. Or at least like let him direct it. Like it seemed like, oh well, no, it couldn't have been directed by him because it had to be directed by fucking who it was directed by, because that's part of it. It should have been like, she should have started. It would have been very Chad.
Gotcha. Well, if your list is done, just so I don't forget about it, I know this isn't watching anything, but as far as listening, right before we started recording this, I was listening to Compliance, the movie Graveyard you did with Goat. And
fucking Compliance. Have you ever seen that movie?
Never saw the movie, but I remember the story. I remember the stories going.
Yeah, and for anybody not in the loop, it's about like fucking some guy that prank calls McDonald's and basically gets, by telling the manager that he's like the fucking FBI, gets her to like strip search a girl, and it gets really dark, baby. Fucking hell.
And I remember
what'd you think?
SVU spoofing that news, because SVU got all their plot stories from real life news,
mm-hmm.
right? And they would just build a script. And SVU, they did it with Robin Williams. Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I've never actually seen Compliance though. So I haven't finished the episode. I can't quite gather how you guys feel about it. It's like you guys are talking. I'm about like 30 minutes in. It's like, well, they sound like they really love it, but they sound like they also think it's shit, but then they like it. Like, what? Is it good? Is it worth watching?
It's just one of those movies that really, like, if you don't know, if you go into it not knowing that it's based on a real fucking story and that it's basically beat for beat how it happened in real life, you're just gonna watch it thinking there's no fucking way anybody is this stupid. But they are, baby. And yeah, fucking, you gotta know that going in and know that nothing was changed. These people really existed, baby. Fucking, it's a crazy story.
Okay. Hey, Zach, so the last episode we did for Cinema Enema was for Eyes Wide Shut. Was that in April or was that March technically?
I'm not sure.
Because I never can quite remember where I left off and what I've told you guys I've watched. I don't have that big of a list, but this will make it pretty easy. On that episode, did I talk about watching Fantastic Mr. Fox?
I think you did, yeah.
Okay.
Or so no, I did.
You did. Okay. So then I watched it after you recommended it. So yeah, I get confused. So I'm going to do a quick recap of like the few I think I maybe might have said, and I'll just skim them, and then I'll go from where I think I started. At the end of March, I watched Fright Night, the Colin Farrell remake. I actually didn't hate it. I gave it like a 6 out of 10. Miami Vice, the Michael Mann movie. I didn't like it that much. That was a 5 out of 10. It wasn't as good as Collateral. My Favorite Martian, of course, Zach and I did a commentary for. I think you just had to have been there when it came out to appreciate it. For me, it was all right, 5 out of 10. I watched that Becky movie with fucking King of Queens. It's like this weird hybrid. It's like First Blood meets Home Alone meets all kinds of crazy shit, but it was okay. It was a 6 out of 10. It was kind of a fun watch. A lot of good gore effects, actually. I watched that Godzilla vs. Kong movie back when it first dropped. That was just, this is exactly what I thought it was going to be, 5 out of 10.
I watched that after and I enjoyed it. I thought that was the first one out of these new ones that actually felt absurd enough, and it just tapped into that fucking ridiculousness.
Like I've recapped before, it was big lizard smash big monkey go boom. It was just a big effects and CGI and just monkey and lizard battling. It had no substance, but I don't think...
Return to monkey. Fucking, we can all learn to love just returning to monkey once in a while and fucking beating the shit out of a big ass lizard. Should we get into a debate over who won?
Well, clearly one will fall. Well, what a big fucking marketing scam.
It's written and set up in a way that like it's so fucking like consequential that fucking the people that love Kong can say Kong totally won. People that love fucking Godzilla can say fucking Godzilla. What are you talking about? Fucking, it's clever how they can do that sometimes. And you know, like I fucking watched the movie knowing fully well neither one of them is gonna die. They're not gonna end the franchise. And either of them, they're gonna want to keep them going.
Yeah, it's absolutely stupid. I know I've brought it up at least on a commentary just in passing, but I watched Mulholland Drive early in April.
I watched that too and fucking really enjoyed it. I watched it after me and Mac did a high commentary, so yeah, I watched it highs.
Total mind fuck. It's just like a lot of Lynch shit. I have to watch it again. I thought it was a 6 out of 10 on my first viewing, but I fully grasped that it was a third eye type movie. I gotta watch it again now that I've watched it once.
I gave it an 8 out of 10. You want to talk about what I think the fucking thing is going on?
Go for it. And I totally agree that I very well could think it's an 8 the next go around. But go ahead.
I think it's a parable, like fucking basically retelling. Parable, whatever, however you say it, of like how Hollywood works. Cause, young actress, she comes there, looking forward to, the dreams and admiration, all that stuff. And she ends up getting taken advantage of. And like all this stuff ends up, basically going crazy and taking her own life. And fucking, basically it was told throughout the idea that like, oh, whenever when you're an actor, you're trying, cause she's an up and coming actress, she wants to become someone else. So I think that the other character that has amnesia is basically like her, and that's her as the character she's becoming. They're one person, and then like fucking there's some, yeah, and it's just like a parable, like fucking this is how fucking Hollywood does you, and like it ends up very reminiscent of how Marilyn Monroe died in front of the Hollywood sign, and like all this stuff, and hell yeah, that's what I got from it, baby.
Yeah, definitely a lot to unpack with it though. So it's I like movies like that demand rewatches. You know, it's gonna pretty much just ensures that it's going to stick with you and stay with you. I mean, you're not going to forget about it. I watch lots of movies.
I swear, I listened to another podcast recently where they were talking about it, and like they pointed out, I think like, I don't remember, Mulholland Drive is like an anagram or whatever they're called of, is it Hollywood, or I don't think it was Hollywood, but it was something that made me think like, oh yeah, I think I'm like on the right track of what I was thinking.
But Mulholland Drive is a real street.
Fucking yeah, I don't remember what it was they said, but like fucking yeah, I'd have to like hear it again.
But maybe like you're saying, like maybe Mulholland Drive just coincidentally was an anagram for another clever word that was thematic to what he was going for.
Yeah. Fucking it's blowing my mind all over again. Hey, Ron.
Okay, and going back to Wes Anderson, I watched Fantastic Mr. Fox kind of after Zach did, and I saw that he liked it, and I did like it. I enjoyed it. It was a very fun animated stop motion picture, and I liked it a lot actually. So I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Cute.
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh.
I watched The Dark and the Wicked, and this was yet another recommendation by our one and only Todd, who I've sort of gone after in recent years for having shit taste all of a sudden in his later years. Like these movies he touts, like, man, this is a really good one. I really enjoyed this. And I don't know why I keep trusting him, but I watched it.
We got to take into account how many of these movies he watches too. Maybe this is like the cream of the crop. Like the shit he doesn't like is like the fucking other shit.
He gave it an 8 out of 10 because he's got it on Letterboxd too, and he says a great demonic slow burn. Had a lot of fun with this one. I thought it was a fucking boring fucking slow burn, and it was bullshit, and it was cliche, and it was just shit. It was so, dude. I gave it a 3 out of 10. I think I'm being kind. It was too watching paint dry for me, man. And
you just don't get it, Aaron. You weren't in the right mood.
I just didn't like the story, man. So I didn't get it. But anyway, 9.5 weeks, kind of chipping away at my Mickey Rourke personal exploitation. I had never seen that, and that's one of his, I guess, bigger movies. And Kim Basinger, I think it really put her on the map too. And back when 9.5 weeks came out, it was really controversial. And if you watch the movie, it really was the 50 Shades of Grey of the 80s. And that's what it is. It's about these two guys, her and him. They meet almost kind of just by happenstance and sporadically, and they just have this attraction where they're glued to each other, and it becomes very sexual. And he's very much like a dominance type of guy, and he slowly starts introducing this sort of behavior into their sexuality and stuff like that. And she kind of resists, but then she kind of likes it. It's basically where 50 Shades of Grey probably got their inspiration. But
it made all the middle-aged pussies wet.
But it's very much toned down. It's 80s, right? So what was kind of extreme back then isn't very extreme now. Like they don't go that far. Like I don't know why it pushed a lot of buttons back in the day, but there's no way this would push any buttons today. But anyway, with that said, I think the movie was beautifully shot. I like the scenes, and I really like Mickey Rourke, but the movie, it just didn't hit home for me. It like I said, it would have been the 50 Shades of Greys of the 80s, which I wouldn't watch 50 Shades of Grey today. It's not my kind of movie. It really was kind of trash. You know what I mean? Like housewife trash. And but yeah, the story doesn't really do much for me. It doesn't go anywhere for me.
Was it made pre or like post fucking Mickey Rourke looking like a Ninja Turtle?
1986. This is the movie that really made him a big movie star.
So before that, baby, amazing.
Ninja
Turtle, Mickey Rourke or bust.
This is when you could have argued he was considered a sex icon. He was in a movie like 9.5 Weeks, right? They're not going to put Mickey Rourke now where he looks like fucking mashed potatoes in a sex fucking movie where can you imagine Mickey Rourke now? Like being like a dominator guy and I don't know.
I would be the fucking sub to that.
He kind of looks like Sloth or something now. He'd be like the thing you keep in the basement chained up.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be a gimp.
Fucking
I don't know.
You got your feeder fetish. Fucking keep him chained up and fucking feed him all this food. Try to get him fucking nice and plump.
Feed us. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
I watched City of Lies, that long, dormant Tupac, Biggie Smalls movie, right? It's about the detectives who's trying to solve who killed Biggie Smalls really. and it starred Johnny Depp and Forrest Whitaker. The movie, I think, has been done for like 3 or 4 years, and it's just been constantly shelved, and it's been talked about for quite a few years, and it finally dropped. And I watched it, and it was okay. It was a 6 out of 10.
I was picturing like a movie from the 90s starring Biggie Smalls and fucking Tupac. Like fucking they made a movie with both of them. Fucking hell yeah, Chad.
I watched.
Very Chad.
I brought this movie up like last month or whatever. I had never seen it because you said you had never seen it, which I'm shocked you had never seen it when you told me that, because this was of such your era, and it's got people in it that I would imagine, I don't know, you just would have gravitated towards the people that were in the movie. I watched Mystery Men. Fuck my life, that movie sucks.
Does it really? I still never seen that movie.
I gave it a 4 out of 10. It wasn't for me. It's like that Smash Mouth video made it look. It's 90s to the fucking max. Like it looks like a late 90s movie. And of course, it's got Smash Mouth all throughout the soundtrack. It's got all that shit. It just reminded me of TRL watching the fucking movie.
That's why I can't wait to do that Space Jam commentary, because that's such a fucking 90s time capsule. I can't think of anything more 90s than Space Jam.
And you're going to hear all those songs from the soundtrack. So that's what's weird. Space Jam was a big movie, but sometimes a movie has a soundtrack that's as big or even bigger than the movie it was a soundtrack for. So in the case of Mystery Men, that movie was a fucking bomb, but everybody remembers Smash Mouth. Hey now, you're an all-star. You're right. That's where that shit came from.
That was from the movie? I didn't even know that.
It's got the Mystery Men in the video. And they're actually in the video and shit like that. You got Kel Mitchell and everybody.
Nobody goes back and actually watches the music video all the way through. You just remember, I thought that movie was known for like in Shrek. That music video wasn't for Shrek.
That's not. No, that was a different song. That was the monkey song they did for Shrek. Right?
That's right. Holy shit! They did a cover for that movie.
They just all roll into one giant fucking song. They're all the fucking same. It's like that old SNL skit back in the Sandler days where they were basically shitting on Aerosmith. How like all their hits from the early 90s sound the same, and they were playing like Crazy, and it went into Crying, and it went into James. You know, they all sound, and I'm crying, forget. You know, they're all the same song. All those Alicia Silverstone type video era, like, right, Permanent Vacation, the singles sound the fucking same, and they had a skit about it that was pretty funny. But anyway, it wasn't for me, but it's 90s on crack. It's got a really cool cast, but it just wasn't doing anything for me. I watched the New Mutants, that dormant horror X-Men movie. They kept saying like we're gonna make an R-rated horror X-Men movie. And I watched it. It was like a 5 out of 10. I mean, it was fine. It was all right. It wasn't anything special. It was horror in the sense that it was very scaled down. It wasn't like a superhero movie. It all took place in a mansion in a house, and it had a very small cast, and it was very contained. So, I mean, I get what they were going for, but it was whatever. It's got that chick that looks weird from Game of Thrones. What's her name? Maisie something. She kind of looks like Sloth. Anyway,
amazing.
I watched Gone Baby Gone. I had never seen that. It was Ben Affleck's first directorial movie, and I liked it, man. It was an 8 out of 10. It was really good, and it's one of those capers, like Who Stole the Little Girl, right? We got a lot of. It's just like that one movie with Hugh Jackman, right? Who stole the kid? Who kidnapped her? And it was good. I really, really liked it. And Casey Affleck was really good in it, and he's such a weird, unassuming lead man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nothing about Casey Affleck looks like a leading man. He seems like the dorky friend that has 2 lines. He doesn't have like a conventional look about him. His delivery's weird. He doesn't open his mouth when he talks. He kind of like grinds his teeth as he's speaking. But yet he pulls it off and he's good. So I don't know. I wonder if he would really be a leading man if his brother wasn't famous first and put him in his movies. But.
Like a movie we are talking about, Eric Roberts only would be famous if it was. He wouldn't be famous if it wasn't for his fucking Stacey ass daughter.
I'm pretty sure Eric Roberts, he's a lot older and his career predates her.
Fucking nope. Fucking see, he went back in time and fucking he made a career fucking before just to throw us off. Fuck him.
All right, and of course I don't have to get into it. I of course watched Mortal Kombat. We did our commentary for that. I gave it a 4 out of 10. I mean, that's probably where it might even be a 3 out of 10. I thought it was dog shit.
You can relive us fucking coming to the understanding that Aaron's a big movie he's been waiting for so long is not a good movie live when you go and listen to the BTM commentary podcast for that.
What's funny though is I'm not gonna buy this fucking piece of shit, but I will still be curious when the second one comes out. Will I be like, okay, because
don't lie, you're gonna buy the Steelbook.
No, I'm not. It's already on pre-order. I'm not going to buy it. I am not going to buy it. It's a piece of shit. I'd rather them not make a sequel and try and reboot it or not reboot it in 10 years. It's not good. I don't want to reward shitty fucking product. You know, it's shitty product. But
it was a terrific film.
When the second one comes out, I will be curious. It's because they will have a lot to prove. It's not unheard of. Every now and a blue moon, somebody makes a sequel that is way better than the first one. So who knows? I think about X-Men. I know a lot of people like the first X-Men movie. I never thought it was that good. It didn't really do it for me. And then X-Men 2 came out, and X-Men 2 is fucking so much better than the first one. Like, I wasn't a fan of X-Men or anything when the first movie came out. Then the second one came out, and it was just like 5 million times better. So who knows? Maybe the Mortal Kombat people, it's just like what Zach was saying. It's this whole bullshit of franchise building, and it's that Marvel thing, right? Where it's like, wait a second, they're giving us that building movie where we don't really get a movie. It's just a movie where they're sort of introducing and setting shit up. They're giving us the setup for the real movie.
See, I watched that knowing full well going in before I even heard anything about that. Oh, yeah, they're not going to do the tournament in this movie. It's just going to set it up.
So is it possible the second movie's going to feel a little closer to like what the movie should have been, and I might like it a little more? I mean,
they might not even do the tournament in the second movie. They might save it for the trilogy ending.
I don't know how they could make a worse movie. I guess that's not it's not very good to put a bar like that, but I guess that's something. But yeah, I will not buy that movie because I'm not going to reward this fucking practice of them doing it. It's absolute shit.
Amazing.
Because everything you watch in that movie, you got out of the trailer. Everything in that, and Mac even agreed when he saw it. The whole fucking trailer is the movie. So if you just want to introduce the characters and set it up, I already got the setup for your real movie in the fucking 2-minute Red Band trailer.
Amazing.
Now give me the movie. Don't give me an expanded version of the 2-minute Red Band trailer. It's the exact same shit. Anyway.
The band is red when the night is old.
Lastly, I watched a couple of things since I've moved in the new house. I watched that Amazon Prime original movie, the Tom Clancy Without Remorse with Michael B. Jordan. It's espionage.
Tom Clancy's actually one of the best game designers of our generation.
Okay. It was okay. It was an espionage thriller, action thriller. Michael B. Jordan. It didn't reinvent the wheel. It did a lot of shit.
He ain't no Michael Jordan, just a wannabe that looks like him. That's what that B stands for.
There you go. But the movie itself, though, it did a lot of stuff a lot of these movies do. It wasn't anything new at all, but it scratched the itch that I wanted at the time. It was a 6 out of 10. It's all right. And then Mr. Right, I had nothing to watch the other night, and I was just like going through Netflix. You ever like go through Netflix? You're like, I really don't know what to fucking watch, and you just pick something. Like, I'm just gonna pick this. Like, maybe I'll get lucky and it'll be all right. And I don't want to think too much. And I
never do that. I never do that. It's always a fucking
calculated
battle. It's always a battle for me. Yeah.
Well, it usually is, but I'm like, because I've had those nights where it was the other night, and I'm like, all right, I think it was last night. It's my Friday night. I'm really tired. I've only got about 2 hours, so I could easily just spend the next hour and a half looking for a movie, and then I won't have time to watch one because I'm going to fall asleep, or I just need to pick one. So it was kind of I was at that place, so I just picked it. And I picked that movie, Mr. Right, with Sam Rockwell and what the fuck is her name? Anna Kendrick. It's all right, 5 out of 10. And I love Sam Rockwell.
Mr. All Right.
Yeah, it's Mr. All Right. Mr. Okay. But it's got the RZA in it too. Isn't it weird whenever you see a RZA in a movie? He just shows up every now and again. But and of course,
Chad,
we boned up for this. I watched The Best of the Best, right? Because that's the subject of what we're doing today. So we are going to take a break, and we're going to get into the Eric Roberts classic, the most underrated, versatile actor of my generation, my dad's generation, probably your grandkids' generation. Truly underappreciated. True American.
Amazing.
Zach, roll us out into a break, and then we're going to come right back and fucking fillet this fucking movie.
We'll be right back after these messages, babe.
Hell yeah.
A team is not a team if you don't give a damn about one another.
You going number 1 or number 2?
Trust Dad.
Ma, I gotta go.
What does it take to turn 5 uncontrollable characters into one unbeatable team?
Even with my help, it will be difficult, if not nearly impossible, to defeat a team from Korea.
I'm afraid. You need this fight bad. You need this fight for you, man.
I'm here to teach you how to win. Winning isn't a sometime thing. Winning is an all-time thing.
This is the only thing I know I am good at. Don't take that away from me.
You can work. You can sweat. You can train. You can dream and never be better than good. But when the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Someone to lose, someone to win. Only the strong will survive. Reach for the best you have within. There is no compromise. You have to stand up and fight when the challenge is right. Through the tears and the pain, still the glory remains. You see the vision in sight. Put yourself to the test. Be the best of the best.
I'm gonna take your head off.
All right, guys, and we're back, and we're here to talk about the greatest living American hero, Eric Roberts, and his, I don't know if it's his best movie, but man,
And his superb fucking nut.
fucking awesome. We're going to talk about Best of the Best. And you know what? What a fitting title, because it is the best of the best.
I brought up that he has like a superb fucking nut, and you just glossed over that like it didn't even matter. Like, we gotta talk
Because
about.
I know. This is shit I know. I hear this every day, and I know it. I can attest to this.
He creates fucking his genes, baby. Fucking them locks he has in this movie.
When-
you know he's got the genes that produce.
When Eric Roberts asked me to open wide, I say how wide.
Exactly.
You know, I just open up how wide. It's just that's what you do. When the Roberts, he fucking lays it out on the table. You ask him, how long would you like me to go with this, sir? But he's great, man. And it's so funny because I fucking loathe his sister. I don't like Julia Roberts movies. She's like the female Tom Cruise, where she just seems like such a fucking sleazeball in all her roles. She just seems like such an unlikable bitch, you know?
So low T, Aaron. So low T.
But, in interviews too, though. I've watched Julia Roberts in interviews, man, where she's
back
been
off, Aaron. You're out of your league. Fucking, this is out of your element.
Look, she's been a prima donna bitch in interviews and shit like that. It's ridiculous. There's always been drama around her, in my opinion. And Eric Roberts couldn't be farther from that, right? Listen to an interview with Eric Roberts, and he's one of the most content, happy, grateful fucking people in the business. And he's in on the joke. Like, he knows he does anything and everything.
Amazing.
He's like, I come from the school of work as much as I can. He's like, I just love to act. That's what he says. I've said to myself a million times, if I could spend every day of my life on a film set, I'm a happy man. So he doesn't give a shit. So if somebody offers him, Sharktopus, he does it. If he's doing something for, some telenovela on Telemundo, which he has. I've watched fucking Spanish channel, and he'll show up in like some like Mexican drama. He will. But then again, if he gets called to do The Dark Knight, he will. And I think there's something to say to that. And I think it's commendable. It's cool. I mean, he's an actor. He acts. There's no shame in that. And you know what, though? He keeps working. Like, dude, Eric Roberts is always fucking working. I listened to an interview with him, and he said he was just on that topic. He's like, Yeah, I had this guy, this producer guy, call me the sharktopus. Like it's one of those shitty knockoffs of like Sharknado, Sci-Fi Channel.
Amazing.
And he's like, they offer me Sharktopus. And, like I said, I just want to work and have fun. That's it. He's like, and I said, well, you know what? It was being filmed somewhere. You're going to put me up in a resort or whatever? Okay. It's how long's the shoot? Like 2 weeks, 3? Okay. Can my whole family come? All right, fine. I'll do your fucking movie. I don't give a shit. And he's like, I don't see it as like, oh God, I'm going to remember for Sharktopus. I'm going to remember it as, hey, that one time me and my entire fucking family went to the Bahamas for 6 weeks. That's all he gives a shit about. Anyway, he's cool. We're going to talk about best of the best. Zach, first time watch for you, man. Did you just watch it today or last night?
I had never fucking heard of this movie, and like it just shows up on Netflix one day, and I see it, and I'm like, I've never heard of that. I don't remember Aaron ever mentioning this, but this has to be the kind of fucking stupid shit Aaron loves. I'm
not the best at doing the recaps like Zach does, but I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try because it's very simple. I mean, it's hard to fuck up the movie. Yeah. Okay. So basically, in a sense, we have a group of karate guys that get selected to represent the U.S. in this giant international karate tournament, and they got to go head to head with the Koreans, right? All right, general setup. And we have I think it's 5 people that get selected. None of them know each other prior. We kind of focus on Eric Roberts, but then we also kind of share the spotlight with this other guy, the other like Asian American guy. The only other guy that's like Asian.
You remember what that guy's name was? Tommy Lee.
Tommy Lee.
Not to be confused with the big dick Her Majesty that fucking had sex with Pamela Anderson one time.
Which is funny because this movie was late 80s, and it's like it's kind of weird they named him Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee was very famous in the late 80s, like so it's kind of weird. But
not as famous as this motherfucker. This guy knows he's here to fucking help win the fucking karate tournament, baby.
All right, so let me. So we focus and we start on Eric Roberts' character. Eric Roberts is a well-to-do guy. He's widowed. He lives with his mom, who helps take care of his son because we learn very briefly his mother passed away. Okay, now Eric Roberts, he seems down on his luck. He doesn't know what he's doing with his life. He just wants to mean something.
We should point out that he's got a hideous fucking shot of a kid. Basically.
Yeah, so he's a kid you've recognized from other shit. Like, you've seen that little kid and he grew up to be in other stuff. I can't really tell you what it is, but I know I've seen that little fuck. He is
officially uglier than that ugly little fucking kid from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5.
That's pretty fucking mean.
This kid takes the cake for me.
Yeah, the Jurassic Park kid.
Yep.
Anyway, so
fucking
Eric Roberts, we don't know too much about him. We just know that he's kind of miserable. He doesn't have a wife anymore. He's obviously in a certain situation, but he cares about his kid and he wants the best for everything, but he loves karate. So when he gets this opportunity, which we don't even know how he gets selected, like was he nominated? Did he try and go out for this? Like why does he just like get a random like Mortal Kombat letter or whatever?
We go on to find out that he was
used to be.
He was really good in his time, and he has fucking basically like they show up to the basically like we're gonna build the team, and fucking Mufasa himself is like the fucking coach basically.
So
and like we find out that he used to. So Mufasa wants him on the team, and like one of his contemporaries are like, oh don't pick him, he's damaged goods. He's got a limp shoulder, like fucking he gimped his shoulder too. Like so we know like fucking Mufasa's just like fuck you man. I know talent when I sees it, baby.
Getting ahead of ourselves here. So first they get invited to this expose to sort of like a competition to whittle down the final 5 or whatever, who's going to go to Korea. And there we meet the other contenders who eventually get selected. One of them, oddly enough, is Chris Penn as like this cowboy karate guy. I mean, who would fucking buy Chris Penn as like a martial arts master, which never in the movie does he really impress me with his martial arts.
It's like in the movie, they say he's got a bad attitude. They pointed out the fucking first time you see him, he's got a bad attitude.
You got a couple other guys that, I've never seen in anything else. But then you have the other main guy, Tommy Lee. And the other guys don't matter. Tommy Lee and Eric Roberts, they're the only ones.
Fucking, there was one other guy, fucking the yogi character that was all Zen, fucking Buddhist.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, but
that guy was a stud. He came out looking like fucking Bring Me the Horizon and shit, fucking without them face tattoos and shit. Very Chad.
But as far as the only two guys that had the real arc that were carrying it were Eric Roberts and the Tommy Lee character. Now, the Tommy Lee character, he has a vendetta because now when they build their team of 5, right? They're going to Korea. This is who's representing the USA. They all get matched up one-on-one with a counterpart in Korea. Like, Eric Roberts, you're going to fight this guy. And you're going to fight this guy. And they, first of all, knowingly, we find it out later, they knowingly pair up Tommy Lee with the guy that killed his brother.
Oh, fuck.
In a tournament from years in the past, right? So basically, this whole movie is like blood sport with much lower stakes. Like, none of it ever feels like a really threatening movie because it's just a tournament. It's like they're going there to compete. It's not like Bloodsport Underground and people can die and shit. It's all regulated. It's pretty candy coated. But anyway, he has to go up against the guy that killed his brother. And of course, it becomes personal for him. You could tell he's dealing with those fucking demons. Like, I just want to kill him. You can pretty much see where the movie's going, like, and how everybody's going to come to at the end. And you find out that's all orchestrated. Mufasa himself, this is CNN. He does it on purpose. I mean, I think I don't know if they're trying to go for a sensei type of vibe. Like, oh, I knew what I was doing the whole time. I just think he was an asshole. He wanted to win. Right?
Fucking Mufasa, exactly. He was basically fucking the guy from Whiplash all over again. Fucking pushing him to the fucking limit just for his own thing. Very Chad.
Dude, speaking of pushing him to the limit, they go off to boot camp where they're just like basically training for this fight for 3 months. And, he tells them, you ain't going to have sex for 3 months. Little does he know, what if they just fuck each other? I mean,
amazing.
Why is he assuming their gender and their sexual identity? Maybe they're like, hey, that's fine with us. I'm just going to fuck Tommy Lee over here. But
yeah, exactly.
Regardless,
that's what I'd been doing.
It's like, hey, look, 3 months, go out into the night of the town, get your fucking wicks wet because there's no sex for here on out until this tournament's over. And then I'm going to, put you guys to the ringer. And, to me, if there's anything negative I could say about the movie, and it's not even necessarily a real bad thing because it's kind of a good thing too, I think the movie's a little too fast.
Amazing.
Like I like a real quick movie like this. Like, hey man, it's I don't even know if it cracks 90 minutes to be honest with you. It might just be under 90 minutes, which I like. It's a real easy watch. It's real stupid and real goofy. But I kind of feel like they should have let certain parts of the story breathe a little bit more because is it me or are they like moving through this thing? Are they like, okay, well they're already at this tournament or they're already training? What the fuck? Oh, they're done training already? And now they're already in Korea. Like, what the fuck? Like, you don't really get to see the grind. They show us in the boot camp or their training, and then they show one 80s montage scene where, like I said, much lower stakes. It's like a low rent Rocky IV. Rocky IV was, scaling fucking mountains in Siberia and, doing fucking pull-ups on planks of wood and shit. And here they're just like all kind of homoerotically on Nautilus machines.
Exactly.
And they're playing like the 80s training music and they're all grunting and sweaty, just all working out together. It's kind of gay, but that's the way all the 80s movies were, man. They always had this like weird homoerotic undertones to them that were really funny, like all that bro shit. Mm-hmm. But this movie,
so basically, yeah, the fucking the whole plot, the crux of the plot is like Eric Roberts. He's got a fucking, it's that fucking the sports movie where Eric Roberts, he defies the odds, he becomes the best of the best through the magic of multiple training montages and all this fucking shit. And
they become the best of the best. I don't think it's necessarily him, but it's not. He shares the bit. I don't know if they were trying to make this Tommy Lee actor a thing or something because he's kind of like equal billing.
I mean, yeah, he's right? Like the other, like they're basically like partner characters almost. Like if this was like a buddy cop movie, they would be like, yeah, it'd be like that.
Speaking of the pacing, right? Everything goes too fast. And I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but even by the time you get to the end of the movie, they're all a little too close knit, kind of like in Bloodsport, how it's like him and Ogre are so close, like wherever I'll be there. Like they're like all of a sudden gay for each other. I'm like, you guys in reality have known each other about 12 hours. This is weird. But that's the way this movie is too.
Right or die.
By the end of the movie though, they're like crying for each other and they're like total brothers in arms. I'm like, man, I mean, but at least they spent 3 months together. It just feels like it was so fast. Like, really? Like, we don't get to see that.
We'll talk about how fast it goes whenever later on, whenever we get to our bullet points section.
Okay. But yeah, so that's
real quick. Basically this movie is about like, a dad blowing off his kid to go hang with the bros. That's what life's all about, as we know.
No, but he obviously didn't want to, which you want to save all that like nitty stuff for the bullet point, right? We'll do that for the bullet point. Yeah.
Exactly.
So are we ready to get into that?
If you want, baby.
Let's get into the bullet points, man. So you're good at this. I'll sort of add on when you go to the bullet points.
Oh yeah.
So start us off.
All right. The first thing I wrote. Let me see here. So I put the scene where they're all at the bar hitting on the chicks. And Kane Hodder just shows up with a mullet and just punches a woman in the fucking face.
Dude, it's fucking awesome. Look, Kane Hodder's best movie, man. Kane Hodder plays a fucking redneck biker type. And they start that bar brawl, man. And he just fucking hits this he clocks this bitch. It's funny.
He was definitely a juggalo at the time they shot this, because I remember in his book, he had a picture of him with that haircut, and he has like the fucking Hatchet Man jersey on or something like that. Fucking
dude, ICP wasn't around in the late 80s.
Fucking, they had to have been. He fucking, he must have just had that mullet multiple times throughout his career. Very jagged.
Okay. I want to put a spotlight on the scene where the relationship between Eric Roberts and his kid. And so he doesn't want to leave his kid and hang out with the bros, but he needs to make a better life. And we get a sense of his character, right? He wants to mean something again, and this is what he knows, and this is his shot. And so he has a little heart to heart with his kid. He's laying with him in bed and he's telling him he's got to go. He wants to go away to do this thing. And the kid's like, "Can I have your medal?" He's like, "You bet, champ." Right? He's like Mr. Great Dad. And, and there's this part where as he's getting up and he's standing there looking at his kid in bed after he just made this promise to him, he's got a mullet. He's wearing a Cosby sweater, acid wash jeans, I'm sure, high tops, and a fanny pack. And it's like, God, it's so fucking awesome, man. And I was watching it with the lady and she's like, "What the fuck is he wearing?" I'm like,
Chad clothes.
Fucking 80s, man. Quintessential. It's awesome.
Fucking Chad clothes.
Rad clothes, too. But anyway, I guess it kind of serves a point to the plot, kind of. But isn't it kind of weird? Did you find it odd that when they're out training and they're away in the quote-unquote boot camp, I don't know what you want to call it, and all of a sudden his kid gets hit by a car and he's like, "I gotta leave."
Exactly. I wrote halfway through, Eric Roberts' kid gets hit by a car while riding his bike, and Mufasa's giving him a hard time about it. It's like fucking, he's giving him like, "Oh fucking, you can't leave. Like, if you leave, you quit."
Yeah. Are we supposed to believe that he's that big of an asshole? But anyway, that's the only point I guess it's supposed to play to the script, is it has to present a high point of his assholeness so he can redeem himself, I guess.
I wrote, he goes to visit the kid and it's more or less wrapped up in 5 minutes.
Yes. No, that's what I'm saying. The only thing that this serves a purpose to is to reach a high boiling point to show that of James Earl Jones's assholeness so he can redeem himself.
It was just that point in the movie where we needed the bridge to the third act, fucking the little conflict that happens.
And he's like, "I'm going anyway," and he goes. And in next scene, he's walking to the hospital, and we see this fucking kid all maked up to shit, like he just got beat the fuck up. It's hilarious. And then
that's what the joke was about the kid being ugly.
But anyway, he walks in. He was in a coma. As soon as he walks in and gets there, he wakes up out of the coma, and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go win it for you," and he goes back.
Exactly.
Like, that's it?
And it coincides with the partner character, the Asian dude, also having this arc where Asian guy quits, but then 5 minutes later, he's riding his motorcycle, listening to REO Speedwagon. He decides to fight after all. Fucking it just happens, and they just wrap it up really quick.
And they do they do this in a lot of fucking team sport movies, right? Where the rest of the group, they're a motley bunch, but the rest of the group kind of they have their arc too, right? Like they come around, like, "Look, we really need you." They stand up for their bros, like, "You got to bring them back. We're standing up. We're protesting. We can't win without them, man." And then they come back, and everybody, and just like that, as soon as as quickly as his kid thing is wrapped up and Tommy Lee's fucking got his shit together, James Earl Jones also comes around really easy. Like he's not super stubborn because it seems like he's a hard ass. And then he comes back and he's just convinced so easy. Like they ask him and he's like, okay. Like, well, okay, I was all right. It wasn't so bad.
James Earl Jones is basically like that overbearing character that like fucking he's pushing too hard, and then like if he pushes too hard through in moments, and then like fucking but then he comes to learn and understand each other, him and fucking Eric Roberts.
But the second they let him back, now they're in Korea, and now we're in the third act, like the final, and now they're like a big family all of a sudden. Like, good job, son. Like, what the fuck? Like, you were an asshole before, like just 2 seconds ago. But continue. Sorry, you were trying to say.
Yeah, it just happens to just perfectly line up. Like they decide like fucking the Asian dude's like, oh yeah, I want to fight. Like he just happens to think that right around the time James Earl Jones is agreed to let them back in, and then they immediately go to the fucking the whole tournament.
Yeah.
And like so like right at this point it's like fucking there's 30 minutes left, so the third act is all the tournament, baby.
And so they're in the tournament, and it's like any martial arts karate movie, it's like a fucking Karate Kid or blood sport.
Exactly. You know what I thought? As soon as they get there, I know exactly what's going to happen. I can watch the rest of the movie at 1.5 speed. Fucking on Netflix, because we know, and that's the thing. We know they're gonna win, right? Fucking, but like compare that to like a Rocky. Well, don't get there yet.
Okay.
I'm building up to compare that to a Rocky, where it's like you can watch all the Rocky sequels like for the first time. If you don't know, it's like, yeah, I don't know if I win yet. So you're still like, it's like fucking the first movie he lost. Like I don't fucking know where this could go. So like you always feel that way on the Rocky movie. This one, it's like we know they're gonna win, but then the fucking it didn't quite turn out like that. As I was watching it,
they did something kind of unique where it was both. It's like they didn't win, but they did, but they didn't. I thought
they didn't win, but we all know they won. Basically, like fucking so much so that the bad guys they win, even though they were using illegal kicks, and the fucking the referee didn't notice. So to
not get ahead of ourselves. We have the tournament. It's like Mortal Kombat. It's a Mortal Kombat ladder. First, you have like Chris Penn going up against his guy. You have the fucking filler guys going up against their guys. It's all about Tommy Lee and Eric Roberts. Eric Roberts, he's second to last, and he fights his guy. And it's like you're getting two Rockies in one movie because they both have big epic like personal fights, And Eric Roberts' battle, his bum shoulder comes into place, right? And like throw the fight.
He hits it right in the same spot where his old shoulder injury was.
And we have that whole trope of throw the fight. No, pop it in. Yeah, and he beats him. And he beats him with the handicap. We've seen this in Bloodsport. We've seen this in Rocky movies. We've seen it in so many movies. But what? So he kicks his ass with a fucking crippled arm. And now it's all up to Tommy Lee. Now Tommy Lee, he's the only one that has a personal vendetta.
Basically, he's got to learn how to just stir the boat with his cock before fucking Pam Anderson is out of the mood to fuck. Basically, it's all up to him now.
By the way, you know what we totally glossed over? Speaking of the quick shift in just character, like between James Earl Jones and all that shit. Okay, so seemingly he comes back, Tommy Lee comes back. All of a sudden, James Earl Jones is very nice and understanding. Next second, we're in Korea. And not only is James Earl Jones super fucking nice and they're like a big family, he, I guess, flew in his son, who was just in a terrible car accident, to Korea to be there to cheer his dad on.
The same son he didn't want to let his dad leave to visit when he thought he was dying in the hospital.
You know what I mean? And then he sees him in the crowd, and he's like, and he just kind of smiles like, "You did this? Oh, he's there." It's just like, what? Like, what the fuck? I'd be like, you flew my kid all the way around the world and whatever. But anyway, and his grandma, everything there's so fucking perfect. Anyway, now it's down to Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee is the only person in the movie that has a personal vendetta against somebody. For Eric Roberts, it's about himself. He's the Rocky Balboa. He just wants to prove something to himself and, better himself. That's really all it is. He's going the distance. Tommy Lee, he's battling himself, but in the sense that I'm battling my own rage and just my hunger for vengeance and shit like that. And so, and I kind of like what they were doing with him. They're fighting him, and he's put up to the ultimate test where, you know, he eventually gets the upper hand, but he's in a situation where it's all come full circle, where he has the same opportunity where you can kill him. But you keep seeing these flashbacks all throughout the movie, like they always do in those fucking kung fu movies, about his past, which is funny because the kid looks so happy-go-lucky and he's just licking a fucking, you know, ice cream cone. And then as soon as his brother gets killed or whatever, you just see the ice cream cone dramatically fall to the ground in slow motion. Boom.
Arguably, this Tommy Lee character's arc, or like at least the ending and like the whole final conclusion to it, is actually better than Eric Roberts. Which is weird. His has a little bit more depth. So basically, it's come full circle. He's in a place where this guy's not giving up, and all he has to do, he keeps getting up. He's like half dead, but he keeps rising to his feet before the count's up. And all he has to do is basically finish him. But he takes the high road. He controls his inner demons, and he doesn't make the same mistake. And he realizes, why, you know, this rage, this anger is getting the better of me, and I'm no better than this guy. And he lets him win the fight because, well, the guy's on his feet. If the timer runs out, he's gonna win, and he doesn't want to. Another blow will probably kill this guy. So he basically peacefully protests and just forfeits the match. I mean, it's essentially what he did. He probably could have done that Chad thing where you just tap him with your finger, and then he just falls.
Tap him. No, and that's what I was saying the whole time. I'm like, you know what? He could have his cake and eat it too here. He could not kill him. This guy's he's like wobbling and swaying back and forth. All he has to do is just nudge him. Literally.
Yeah.
You know, or he could have walked up to him and just kind of like gently laid him down on the mat, like a fucking mom does to their child to bed, you know? But
amazing. That would have been Chad.
But that's not nearly as dramatic. That doesn't help our story as much. But anyway, so he makes the right decision, and then technically Korea wins. But this is where I think the movie separates itself a little bit from all the other movies, is I really like how the Koreans, how do I word this? People don't always, you don't know what it's like on the other side. You don't know what it's like to wear the other shoe. So this whole existence of Tommy Lee, he grew up just painting this image in his head of these evil Koreans that fucking ruthlessly killed his brother, right? And that's the way they kind of portray him when they just show him in like montage scenes, like training, like, oh God, because they have no expression. Like these guys must just like be the Russians in Rocky IV, just evil, or the Cobra Kai, but they're not. So when they lose, it's like they're all very gracious, and they all give them their medals because they realize what he did. Like they spared a life, you know, and so it was a lot of honor. And then you have the scene of the guy he spared come up to him, and just you find out he's probably been living with the guilt his whole life that he killed his brother. And he breaks down and crying, and this whole time. And what does he says something to the fact of like, you know, basically he's without his brother, and I'm honored that that maybe you can consider me a brother, you know what I mean? And he hugs him, and it's a little bit touching. It really is.
Fucking our boy Tommy Lee did not give that final blow that could have cost his little brother the same fate that fucking Tommy Lee had. Very Chad.
Yeah. And like you said, you never know what somebody else is feeling, and you find out like these people are human too. And I don't know. I really, really, really like the ending. I gotta say, I think that movie nails it. Kind of for that type of movie. I think they nailed the ending.
They can never do that again. I saw there's multiple sequels, and fucking Eric Roberts comes back for at least one of them. Fucking every one of those sequels they got to win at the end.
Oh yeah, just like Rocky. Rocky lost in the first Rocky, and then he won in all the other ones until you get to Rocky.
Exactly.
Until you get to a certain point, but in all like the prime era '80s movies, yeah. I've never seen the sequels and actually want to see them, but I don't know what's your takeaway from the movie, and give me your rundown, your takeaway, your pros, your cons, and end it with your rating, and I'll give mine.
It was very, I'd never got big. I don't really have any of these sports like fucking movies that kind of like came out at the right time for me to latch on to. I guess if I had to pick one, it'd be like fucking like, Sandlot or something. Like I completely get how watching this right at that right time where it's like, oh yeah, if you want something bad enough, you gotta work hard and fucking keep trying, baby. And like fucking you eventually win the tournament. And like I can see like, really needing to have that reinforced in your in the stuff you watch, and that really getting
But
you.
let's not everybody out there, the lesson of the movie, don't use this movie as like your template for that, because basically the movie's saying if you want something really hard, you'll get it in about 88 minutes really easily.
Exactly.
Really fast and really easily.
Exactly.
But continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
All movies are kind of like that at the end of the day too.
But you know what I mean? Like you watch Rocky and it breezes. All you need is 15 more minutes. You don't need a lot more. Just 15 more minutes will make everything. But continue.
I thought this was a standard fare. I thought I was right down the middle with it. I thought it was a 5 out of 10.
So
like it follows the template except for the ending, but like, oh, they win, but they don't win, but they really win in the long run.
So well, I mean, they had no choice but to get kind of creative with that ending, because you can't do the Rocky ending. You can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. And I don't think any big movie Rocky basically created the inspirational underdog sports movie. Everybody, Rocky created a whole subgenre of films. So it is the alpha, the omega of all that shit. So if you do anything that Rocky did at this point, it's cliche. So, but and there's movies that came after it, and I've noticed they always have to do something different. Nobody can just do the fucking go the distance and I lost. You don't expect that. But they did something unique. I really love the movie Warrior. They do something unique with that too. But you have to be creative with it. I think for me, I know the movie's kind of schlocky and I know the movie's a little too fast or whatever, but I watched this movie and I know exactly what I'm getting out of it. It's late 80s. You're going to have your cheesy montages. You're going to have your 80s fashion. You're going to have your, like I said, your weird bromance thing going on. I don't know. Certain criticisms go out the window with movies like this. Like there's things that don't bother me about it. And I for me, it's an easy 8 out of 10. And part of me sometimes even wants to give it a 9 just because I think it's a fun, easy watch. And I love Eric Roberts because he's such an overactor, but a great actor, if that makes sense. He chews up every scene he's in. You know what I mean? Those actors that kind of overact a little bit, like all the time. He's like a live action cartoon. And he's like that in every movie. He's extremely versatile, though.
This is your Blair Witch 2.
I
watched that again recently, and I was like, I could almost give that a 9. But I know it's not a real 9. It's just I fucking enjoys it. You can't explain.
Yeah, it's a fun, easy movie, and there's something about it, and I love the era. But Eric Roberts. I mean, have you seen too many Eric Roberts movies?
Not a lot at all, actually.
He's just so amplified. He's very extra. He's a great actor, but he's always kind of just barely overacting. He's that guy that chews up every scene, which I think some people kind of hate or like. It just depends. I mean, I know some people don't like. I think when actors chew up scenery, I think some people don't like it. Like they think it's a dig. I think it's awesome though. He was in. He's always like that though. Watch Pope of Greenwich Village. Did you ever see that with him and Mickey Rourke?
I haven't.
He's so over the top. He plays opposite Mickey Rourke, and he gets in over his head with some loan sharks and shit. And there's a scene in the movie where they take his thumbs, right? And there's this whole like big Eric Roberts movie where he's like kind of crying, but it's so like overblown. They took my thumbs, Charlie. That's what he does. And he just goes fucking to like level 11 on everything. And that's why I love him. If you watch him he's in the Expendables, right? He's the bad guy in the Expendables. So fucking over the top. He's kind of one of those guys that's like a live action cartoon character or a live action comic book guy. Like he's like just jumped off the page of something. But I think he's great. And the movie's really fun. It's cheesy. It's cliche. I love it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know it's not really your kind of movie, but Zach asked, he's like, hey, let's do 2 Cinema Enemas in a row. Do you got anything you want to do? I'm like, well, I just watched Best of the Best. Let's do that. And I know it's streaming and it's easy. It's not like a 3 hour sit down and watch. It's a real easy to digest movie. Did you think the movie was boring, or it just wasn't your type of movie? Like, were you engaged through the whole thing, or were you like looking at your watch or your phone or whatever?
It was fine. I said, like, I watched the last tournament part, like, sped through. But, like, yeah, I always feel like that, like, on all these movies, like, once they get to, it's all about getting to the tournament. And then, like, once they're there, like, it's almost like it's the fucking the storybook ending, like, you know they're going to win and stuff like that.
but I think when you watch the end of the movie at 1.5 times speed, and even if you watched Rocky at 1.5 times speed, the end, it kind of takes away from the drama and like the impact of how it ends, I think. I would think.
Fucking, who knows? Fucking, I like to think it just makes it fucking, it's just like, no, it's not that it throws the timing off. It's like everything's now going fast. The timing still is going the right way. It's just, yeah, very Chad.
Yeah. I don't know, man. So for me, it was a good, fun flick. Do you, I don't know. What was I going to say? What do you think about that guy's ponytail, though?
Amazing.
Didn't this seem like a Corey G movie? I don't know if he ever talked about Best of the Best. I know he talked about Kickboxer sequels and Sasha Mitchell.
He's talked about Best of the Best. He loved the sequels more than the original, if I remember right.
Because of course he does. I mean, and you know, which tells me automatically they're not as good. Because, I mean, you know, he's trolling. He liked all the Kickboxer sequels better. My fucking ass. The Bloodsport sequels with Daniel Bernhardt better. Yeah, I'm sure.
Eric Roberts only came back for part 2 and then never again.
And I'm sure he says they really peaked after part 2, I bet.
Amazing.
That's probably what he would say.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that's all we got. It was fun. I like doing this. And it was a big change of pace from talking about, Midsummer a couple weeks ago.
Epic film.
But that was a commentary. That wasn't I think Midsummer should have been a Cinema Enema.
It would have been if you would have saw it in theaters. But like,
I get you.
I did mention on our because we happened to be doing The Wicker Man right as it was in theaters, and like, yeah, I couldn't come out and say like because you hadn't seen it, but like I wanted to basically say like, yeah, we're basically doing the Cinema for Wicker Man and Midsummer because it's a modern day retelling. It's basically just The Wicker Man, but I couldn't say that. Very Chad.
I gotcha. Well, thanks everybody for joining us this week. Like I said, next week, hopefully we'll be getting together something grounded for doing Nightbreed. We'll keep you guys posted. But yeah, if you guys, same old spiel, if you guys want to support us in any way, obviously, if you're new to the channel, all I could ever ask for is you please like the video if you're on YouTube. That's all we could ask for. It helps us immensely, especially if you like a video within the first 24 hours of posting. It's always a pain in the ass keeping up with the algorithm game. It shouldn't be a full-time job.
It increases our cum volume whenever you like the
exactly.
video, basically.
I mean, it increases our cum distance, like how far that cum shot's going to go. It expands the reach, basically.
Basically, if you're not clicking the like button, you are a cuckold. Like, your wife is getting fucked by a big chin Chad right now. The only way to fucking stop that from happening is by clicking the like button.
Exactly. And you know, if you guys prefer to listen to your podcasts and shit on podcast free feeds like I do, we're everywhere you want to be. You know, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify. If you like that Revival House fix on the go, same thing. Go over there. We've linked all of our other cross platforms wherever you're listening to us, so you can find out how to get there from a link below wherever the fuck you're watching us. Leave us 5-star ratings wherever you choose to listen to your podcast too. And just share us. I mean, how hard is it to share? If you like what we like and you like what we do and you have friends that like what you like and that like what we do, they'll like us. Like, just share it. Share it with all your kin and it'll help us grow. If anybody out there wants to help us, in addition, you can join our Patreon for $2 a month. You can get early access to all of our shows. You get exclusive shows. Zach and I are currently in the midst of doing the entire Ash vs. Evil Dead series, commentaries for every episode. There's exclusive Mac and Zach episodes that go up there. I know Riverman's done some exclusive stuff, exclusive reviews. There's all kinds of shit up there. And also, if you want to go another step further, we have a Teespring where you could, for your money, get some tangible swag as well. So you can buy a t-shirt, you can buy a hoodie, you can buy etc. and we get a nice healthy portion of that kicked back from them, and it goes right back into the channel. So it all helps, but if you can't afford that, we don't give a shit either, man. Just subscribe and fucking ride with us. That's all we can ask. Zach, do you got anything you want to pitch, promote before we close out?
It has happened. I have finally fully achieved pure omni-mindedness.
Oh, that's it?
Exactly.
All right. Bye-bye, puppets. That was kind of random.
Chad.